San Marcos is in the middle of a very high fire hazard severity zone. At least certain parts are of it. San Marcos is in a very high fire hazard severity zone. Well, certainly certain parts of it are. What does that mean? That means the Zone Zero regulations will apply to many homeowners in the area. Hey everyone, it's Chris with Zone Zero California. And just want to remind you, we're all giving away a free pedestrian gate. It's a all steel design made to withstand the heat of wildfires. It's an Australian gate. Hey everyone, before we get started, just want to remind you we are doing a giveaway here. We're giving away a free pedestrian gate. In order to win, you need to subscribe and go to zonezerocalifornia.com, fill out the form on the website to download your free PDF checklist guide. And it's an all-steel gate built to withstand the heat of wildfires. It's the exact kind of gate that gets you Zone Zero compliant. All right, so let's talk about this. What is Zone Zero? Zone Zero is the 0 to 5 feet around any structure or property in a fire hazard severity zone. And where we are, near the intersection of Knoll Road, San Marcos Avenue, and the 78 freeway or highway is also right there. This gives you a visual representation of exactly where on the map I am and where the high fire hazard severity zone begins. So basically everything north of here, along the northwest to the east, is all the beginning or the edge of a fire hazard severity zone. So we're gonna take a look at a map and drive around just to give you guys a better idea, but I do these videos on the ground to take you, the viewer, to these lines of demarcation to show you and give you some good landmarks. So if you live in San Marcos and you're familiar with San Marcos Boulevard here, you know where Knoll Road is, you know where the 78 is, then you know where I am. There's a Home Depot, there's a McDonald's, all right? So we want people in the area familiar to be able to understand where I am so they can get a sense of where the fire hazard severity zone is. So now, if you have a home or property or manage a structure inside of the fire hazard severity zone, the Zone Zero regulations will apply to you. This means that you'll have to take a second look at your landscaping, your fences and gates, and your decks or your patios. Now, if we also add siding and roofing to that list, that is a complete fire hardening system when it comes to any home or property inside of a fire hazard severity zone. However, from what I understand, Zone Zero regulations specifically may not apply to roofing or siding. It will mostly deal with landscaping, fences, gates, and decks or patios. So let's talk about landscaping for a second. If you have a tree within 5 feet of your home, there is a strong possibility it may need to be moved or removed. At the very least, you need to trim back any leaves or branches within the 0 to 5 feet. Now, trees in particular provide a certain function for homes here in Southern California, like shade. And that shade can help to drastically reduce cooling costs, right? I've seen some studies that show natural shade from trees can effectively reduce temperatures by as much as 50 degrees, and that's a lot. So that saves people money on energy. What else? Certain type of plants will also need to be removed. If you have grass, you may need to transition from grass to gravel or paver stones in that 0 to 5 feet. You may need to get rid of certain types of planters and replace those with pots. So these are the kinds of things we are expecting. Now, it's March of 2026. We don't have any final regulations yet put forth. We are probably going to see a delay on those as well. They've already been delayed 3 months. They were supposed to be issued at the end of December of 2025. We're now in March 2026, and it doesn't look like we're gonna get any final regulations anytime soon. So obviously with Zone Zero, like I mentioned, landscaping, fences and gates, that's why we're giving away a gate. So if you have an old wood gate or a fence that goes right up to next to your home, that will need to be replaced. And I have seen, driving around doing these videos from LA to San Diego, so many homes that have old wood fences and gates. So if that's you, you're probably gonna need to replace that. And that's why we're giving away a gate. Again, all you need to do to win is subscribe, visit our website, zonezerocalifornia.com, and then download your free PDF checklist guide by filling out the form. We're giving away a gate every 500 subscribers. So we're giving away our first gate at 500, our next gate at 1,000, and on and on and on. So you have many chances to win. Now, aside from fences and gates, we have decks and patios. So decks often use wood, and often they use hardwood. Not all decks. If you have an older deck, maybe it uses redwood. Chances are if it's redwood, that will need to get replaced. Now, as I mentioned, decks and even fences and gates can use hardwoods, and there are hardwoods approved for use by CAL FIRE. Kayu Batu is one example. So it's not about getting away from wood completely, it's about using the right types of woods, it's about knowing what type of wood is approved, what type of wood is going to be allowed, is going to get you through any kind of regulatory scrutinization or even your insurance. I also mentioned patios. A lot of patios have wood railings. If those are made of redwood, chances are those will need to get replaced. Again, you can switch it to a approved hardwood, so you don't have to get away from wood completely, or you can consider other things like steel, aluminum, even those stainless steel cable railings. Those are in fashion right now. But that's about it. So I've got to what I need to say. I do this first part of the video to take you on the ground to show you exactly where these severity zones begin. Like I said, I'm along San Marcos Boulevard and Knoll Road, right off the 78. We're gonna take a drive around. I'm gonna show you on the map where we are, where the fire hazards severity zone map is for this area, and then we're gonna take a drive into a neighborhood and point out any potential sources of concern when it comes to Zone 0. All right, let's go. Hey, it's Chris. All right, so we're back in the truck here, and let me show you guys my map, or the map, the CAL FIRE map here, to point out where I am. So I'm right here, San Marcos Boulevard and Knoll Road, right here. I'm right here at this place right here. This is where the Home Depot is and everything. So as I zoom out, you can see how the area looks from above here, and see what the shape of this fire hazard severity zone looks like. Now I'm going to tell you that most of the time this correlates to a topography of like hills and mountains. So, you know, this part in white could be more flat or within a valley, and then as we drive up here to the north, to the west, to the east, we will see that it is essentially on a hill or a hillside community. Now, if I also kind of show you here, this is the 78, this line here, the 78 freeway. Now we see to the south here, also considered San Marcos, it looks like Cal State University San Marcos campus is right here. This southern part is also all in a very high fire hazard severity zone. Now these parts that are like more pink, that the difference between those and the more prominent red parts is those parts are still very high fire hazard. It's just those are managed by the state versus the local municipal government. So there's local responsibility areas and then there's state responsibility areas. So these more peach colored parts are considered state responsibility areas. Those tend to be way more less developed. Those are like, you know, maybe parks or just open wide open land. And so, all right, so we're over here. As I said, I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to take a drive up Knoll Road into this community here, and we'll just kind of see what kind of stuff is around that is like a typical for this type of neighborhood that will be points of contention when it comes to these types of regulations. So let's take a drive. So I'm headed up north up Knoll Road here, past the Home Depot and that major intersections here. So you can start to see where the community starts to begin. And of course, as you can see, there's a hill, right? And what did I say earlier? I said these areas tend to correlate with hillside or mountain topography. So this looks like a townhouse community here, but they all have patios with wood railings, most likely redwood. And so those are the types, sorry, the camera cut out, but those are the types of railings, exactly what I mean by patios that have wood railings. So, all right, we're coming over here. Now this is Knoll Road here. I'm gonna have to make a right or a left. I think there's a school around here. Yep, there's a school to the left. I believe that's a middle school. There's a lot of apartments, and then I see some houses up on the hillside behind. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a left. I believe this is San Marcos Middle School. And then we'll take a drive into the community here and just see, look at the construction and see if there's any other areas for concern when it comes to Zone 0 regulations. All right, so yes, it is San Marcos Middle School. So San Marcos Middle School is completely within the very high fire hazard severity zone. Oh, and I just turned into the parking lot here. Oops, I need to turn out and leave right now because I don't mean to come to the school. Holy cow. All right, folks, looks like I made a mistake. I'm not familiar with the area, so I ended up turning into the middle school on accident. Let me see if this next street gets us into the neighborhood. That was a little embarrassing. Okay. Montessori school here as well. Oh, nope. All right, this is looks like a private neighborhood and another school, so I'm not having much luck navigating. All right, so we're going along Mission Road here. We're gonna head in this direction and see if we can't get into this neighborhood around the middle school area of San Marcos. So, oh, it looks like there's a bunch of apartments and things like that over here. And these look like they are most likely constructed in a way that shouldn't arouse any concern for Zone 0. I don't see wood balconies. I see metal railings here and concrete stairways. So, but nevertheless, we're gonna head up into the neighborhood, see if we can find some houses. Yes, there are some houses past these apartments. So let me just show you guys the apartments I'm talking about. All right. So that's all steel, stucco. Nothing wrong there. All right. Now, there is an older construction here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but this on the corner here, this right here also has wood railings and wood fences and gates surrounding the patio there. So that particular place would definitely be a Zone 0 issue. Now already we're getting into the neighborhood, and look, old wood fence. All old wood fence that runs along in between the properties, along the street here, right next to the house. All this old wood fence. This is definitely a Zone 0 concern. So I'm gonna turn, this is a gated community in front of me, so I obviously can't really go into there. So I'm gonna turn back around and go down to that other street and take a look at more houses along this particular block, because this seems like the perfect example of the type of community that is going to be impacted by these Zone 0 regulations. So again, I'll show you how this wood fence goes all the way down this block, and it connects multiple houses, and it runs between the houses there. Okay, there wasn't a street for me to turn down over there, but let me see if I can get to that community from the other side. So I'm gonna turn down here, and yeah, so you know, it depends on when the structures were built. There looks like a lot of new apartment housing in this area, and that community looks like a much older original community for the area. So, but I can still see the back side of that community from this street, and I'm still continuing to see all old wood. So let me take another left and go back up the hill here and see if we can get to the community from this side. Yeah, so you can see there's new construction here, but this older community is definitely a source of concern. So, all right, immediately this house on the corner, this is all, I mean, above the stucco, right? But you have the stucco base wall, but you have all old wood fence around it. Even that gate has a metal frame, but has wood in between it. Right, here you go. This house over here has a wood fence back there. So this is the street I was talking about. Oh man, we're gonna drive down this street and you're gonna see just, it's almost entirely wood fence. Look at this house in the corner, right? It's also got the trees. So that's your landscaping, right? All this wood on top of the cement wall here, right? Next door, same thing. Wood fence. All right, now they have corrugated steel here, but they have wood posts. So those wood posts might need to be replaced. Look at the landscaping. Look at all the landscaping here, right? This may need to be changed out. Okay, and so all these homes here all share a wood fence between them, back there at the top of the driveway. It might be hard to see here, but between these two homes, right here, next to the garage, wood gate. Wood gate here, wood gate there. I know it's probably hard to make out from the camera because it's so far away relative to the lens I'm using on this camera. But all these homes all share a wood fence that runs right behind them. Those two have wood fence between them. So this was just one small sample of the kinds of homes and things in San Marcos that Zone 0 regulations will affect. So I want to leave it there. Now I just want to remind you, if you're watching this, we're giving away a free pedestrian gate. It's a Zone 0 compliant gate. It's an all steel gate. If you want to win, subscribe to the channel and then go to zone0california.com and fill out the form, and you can download a free PDF checklist guide for Zone 0. And of course, if you want to be put in touch with licensed contractors in your area, just give us a call at zone0california.com and we'll put you in touch with someone right away. Thank you.